And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus on this Thursday, October 2nd. Temperatures outside in the 70s, some spots touching 80 already. And it's going to be another warm summer-like day instead of a fall day today. I'm Chief Meteorologist Dean Wysocki, along with our Ag Director, Bridgette Readel. And Bridgette, when we have upper 80s and near 90 in the forecast, I think it's great for this time of the year. Some people are saying, nope, let's cool it down. I know our sugar beet farmers are one of them that want a little cooler weather, and we will get that as we head into next week, and we'll go more into detail on the forecast coming up in just a bit. But how's your Thursday going? It's almost the weekend.
I would say probably not as good as yours. Hopefully, you've had lots of birthday cake at this point, and people have been doing nothing but, sending you warm greetings all day long.
The
So there you
only
go.
the only thing
Right?
I want is a Cubs win tonight. So then I'll be happy if they can advance in the playoffs. But yeah, it's been going to go outside and enjoy the weather
You're
after work today.
you're already a Nebraska fan, so should I just start with the "Don't worry, it'll be next year" situation on the Cubs, or we got a little more faith than
Oh,
that?
wow. Well, let's hope not.
So sorry. Got
No,
that
you're
in
not.
there though.
No, you're not. Oh, boy. But we do have a beautiful looking forecast. I would call today definitely a top 10 day out there as we're looking at some beautiful, beautiful weather and light winds on top of it. So the fire danger, not a huge threat today like it was yesterday when we had those winds gusting out of the south close to 40. We're going to have plenty of sunshine for the rest of the afternoon. Light winds out of the southwest under 10 and highs today in the mid to upper 80s. And then tonight we'll cool things off back into the upper 50s, so pleasant sleeping weather. And then tomorrow the winds pick up a little bit out of the south-southeast, about 10 to 25. And we're looking for highs tomorrow, once again in the upper 80s to near 90. And then Saturday we'll have partly cloudy skies with highs close to 90. Now, a storm system will be coming our way on Sunday. That will drop our temperatures into the 60s, and it will give parts of the state some very beneficial rain. But parts of the state really won't see much at all. And unfortunately, the parts that aren't going to see much are right here in the FM area, basically up and down the valley and into Lakes Country. We're really not going to see much in the way of rainfall the way it looks right now, as it'd be less than a quarter of an inch, and we're seeing signs that it might be about a tenth of an inch, if that. So the heavier moisture with this storm system coming in on Sunday is going to be from about Jamestown, Bismarck, up through Devil's Lake Basin and just northwest of Grand Forks. So unfortunately, the more copious amounts of moisture hanging to the west of the valley with this next system that's coming in. And we could use a little moisture around here. It has been a little bit dry over the last week to 10 days.
Well, we still want to exercise a fair amount of caution with the dry weather that we've got going on outside the door. This is very similar to what we saw a year ago in October when wildfires ravaged well over 100,000 acres in western North Dakota. Yesterday, there were 2 fires reported in Sherrill County. One was south of Hillsboro, required mutual aid from a number of fire departments. A combine was combining soybeans, and the fire was sparked just after 2 o'clock. It did consume 80 acres of crop, some ditches, jumped a road, and got into a tree row before crews were able to contain it. Heavy, heavy smoke out of that fire, and certainly the winds yesterday drove that quickly and tremendously. A second fire broke out near Mayville around 5 o'clock, and that was contained. It damaged the combine, but did stay away from the surrounding crop. We've got low humidity, warm days, a lot of dry plant material out there. And so it's just a tinderbox waiting. We want to be very, very cautious and careful, keeping an eye out for those things. I heard several folks say, I don't combine in this dry weather very often, but here we are. And so keep that in mind. Be very careful with what's going on out there. And then make sure that you have your lights on if you're the farm equipment and you've got dust coming off the machines. Even if it's not windy, you got a pile of dust that's blowing off the machines, and it's creating some hazards for people to be able to see you. So if you're out and you've got a machine close by a field and there's dust billowing off of it, don't drive blindly into the dust. If you're on gravel roads and so forth, especially as we get towards dusk, let's make sure that we turn the lights on these machines. Last night, a lady was dropping off supper for her family in the field and was returning shortly after sundown, but a quad track did not have its lights on, or at
Mm,
least its backlight, and she rear-ended that quad track.
oof.
Um, Unfortunately, very injured. So we got to be safe on both sides of this, whether we're in the machinery or we're going to be close by it. Please be careful out there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. And like you said, with the winds also picking up tomorrow, with harvest going on, that fire danger is going to increase significantly once again, unfortunately, tomorrow. So yeah, keep a
Mhm.
very close eye on that. And uh,
A- Absolutely.
yeah,
And as folks are thinking about these things, if you see, if you have a concern or a question, you're like, how come somebody's doing that? Or you are wondering about fire danger, maybe some ideas of how to prevent the combine fires or anything else that might be going on, you can certainly call us on the JLA insurance phone line, 701-293-9000. I'm not as great as Angie Johnson, our farm and ranch safety specialist from NDSU, but if you have a question, we'll find the answer to it and make sure to report back to you. Speaking of which, I do want to give a big thank you to two listeners from yesterday, Sarah and Trigby. When we were talking about the heavy snowfall, we said that record snowfall in the Fargo area in North Dakota was 27 inches in a 24-hour period. And we were talking about, was that the storm where some NDSU students were trapped in the storm on 19th Avenue North and died in that blizzard? Both Trigby and Sarah said, nope, that storm happened on February 4th, 1984. So thanks to those astute listeners for making sure I got the right answers. Appreciate that.
right. And although we don't have any snow in the forecast, it does look like next week, Bridget, yeah, we will have our first widespread freeze and or frost as we head into, it looks like Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. Uh, that should be a killing frost and or killing freeze. We're getting signs that we could be down into the upper 20s. So that should take care of most of the growing season later
Oh, yeah.
next week. That should take care of things. But we were getting some signs by mid-month. We're going to start. So the new LRC starts up next week. Now, we're going to start off the first part of the LRC there on a drier note. Most of next week, we're really not going to see much of anything in terms of rainfall. But as we head towards the mid-month, after the 10th, we're going to start seeing a more active pattern. And around the 15th, we're going to have a pretty vigorous storm system riding through the northern plains. Now, on this morning's model run, one of our models had quite a snowstorm over the state by the middle of the month. They've backed off on that now for the afternoon run. So, but that just sends up kind of, a few warning signals that, all right, let's watch the middle of the month because things will change and turn a little stormier as we head towards mid-month. And we don't want it too dry during the month of October, especially after a drier than normal September.
But overall, our rainfall is pretty on track.
It
I
is.
mean, we had
Yep.
a fairly wet June and July. And when you talk to folks that are contractors in the area, road contractors, et cetera, they have said that they're trying to catch up right now because they missed quite a few days due to moisture earlier this season.
Yeah, so
They got some work to do.
yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Well, we're coming up on break here. Yeah, we are. Yeah, I had to double
Yep.
look at the clock
Yep.
there. No guest, I know.
Yep. And
Yes.
no guest today because our guest has to postpone due to illness. For those who are watching, though, and you can be watching us on our Facebook, YouTube, and Acres TV live streams. You can do that throughout the show. And if you miss anything, you can go back and rewatch. I've got a lot of headlines that we haven't even gotten to in the last few days. And there have been a number of things that have happened in agribusiness that we probably want to talk about. So, above all, questions that you might have, well, you can reach us again. JLA Insurance phone line, 701-293-9000. We have the American Ag Network's livestock update. And when we return, let's talk about a government shutdown for just a minute. Thanks. And thanks from the Coral Laundromat Studio for Weather and Ag in Focus. Hey, it's sports season, and a lot of farm kids wind up playing, whether it's football, maybe some hockey, wrestlers, and all of that gear can be taken to the new Coral Laundromat. It is wash, dry, and fold there. You can do it yourself, drop it off, and pick it up later because sometimes you just don't have a chance to get more done in your day. So why not use the help over there at the Coral Laundromat. And again, that's 3620 Veterans Boulevard in Fargo. And also, we have a lot of farmers that have taken on extra jobs this year. And by that, maybe it's working in town, maybe it's buying a tile plow, custom fencing, doing some work with a drone for whether it's cover crop seeding or spraying herbicides, etc. And if you've done any of those things, you now have data, intellectual property that needs to be protected because you don't want your customers' information to be leaked. Have a talk with Chris Sherman over at Tech Support Farm. He can help you out to make sure that everything is streamlined, safe, and doesn't get put in places it shouldn't. So again, have that discussion with Tech Support Farm. Chris Sherman will be glad to help you. Well, currently, the USDA has temporarily furloughed nearly half of their employees. And here's how it's going to impact some of the things that are going on in agriculture. The ARC PLC, which we can look at under crop insurance, right now, that as well as mandatory conservation programs and any payment scheduled to go out will be temporarily delayed. Several of the USDA websites are also unavailable. So if you are looking for information to try to track what's going on, you're not going to find it there. What are some of the essential services, particularly in the eyes of USDA, that are going to stay operational? SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. Meat inspection will continue. Animal and plant health employees, so we call those APHIS, and those APHIS employees are on duty for border inspections, airport inspections for customs and other areas. And Forest Service firefighters are also deemed as essential as well. So right now, we'll see when the shutdown will be revoked. It tends to be short term, but as of right now, both sides, whether Democratic or Republican, are duking it out and at a stalemate. So we're going to watch and see what happens. What this does to farmers, though, means that no one is negotiating any trade deals. So the whole situation we have with soybeans that's very concerning to the upper Midwest is not being reviewed in the next few days' time. So also, if you wanted to go to your local farm service agency office or try to get something taken care of with crop insurance because there's such a hand of USDA in that, you're not going to be able to get those things done. If you wanted to get a claim in with your insurance agent, can you do that? And when might you think payments could be paid out? It's really hard to tell right now. It's fairly inconvenient timing, there's no doubt, right at this point. Storage loans are going to be tougher to secure because you're going to start running up against deadlines after the government restarts. Some bright spots, again, Federal Grain Inspection Service is also staying open, just like Animal Plant Health is going to be open, but that loan processing is all slowed down at this point. Also, when we think about uh, government reporting, like USDA puts out reports on our crop every so many weeks, etc., those aren't going to be happening right now. Will that affect us for trade? Remains to be seen. Many farmers argue that those reports aren't worth it in the first place, but yet there are still some fundamentals based off of them. So we'll see if that's going to change in the short term before we need another one of our reports to come out. We'll also, check with your local farm service agencies. I'm sure there's a lot of people that were furloughed there as well. And it's going to be a challenging year already, the way 2025 has been shaping up. This delay is not necessarily helping us. We will see when things improve, and so far it's not quite yet. I realize most of the time government shutdown doesn't matter. This time it might. So I don't know if you were planning on hitting a federal agency anytime soon, but you might want to call ahead, see if they're going to be open. All right.
Bridgette,
There you are.
I thought I read something. It was yesterday where the president was supposed to be making an exception for some farmer, like soybean, something to do with soybeans and making some. And maybe I missed that, but is that true or is that just a rumor?
I can go find the tweet actually if I have a moment to do it.
Okay.
But essentially, if I remember the gist of it, he was talking about he knows that soybean farmers are sitting in a situation where they're not getting paid right now. They're in the midst of harvest, and he anticipated being able to take tariff money and using that to supplement farm income in order to
Ah,
overcome the hump of not being able to sell soybeans. Now, I can
okay.
go back and find that so we know what it said exactly. Here's the challenge to that. If you listen to folks that work within government, they'll tell you that a lot of times those tariffs already have designations where the money is going to go. So you can't just swipe it from this accounting column, you might say, to move it to another one. Now, I also don't work for government, nor did I major in accounting. So maybe there's some things that can happen that I'm unaware of, but that was in fact one of the things that was brought up was being able to swipe that money from one side and move it to the other.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I can find that tweet given enough time. I remember the morning report that I saw it on. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. So I
yeah,
wasn't sure
I
if I
can
was
find it.
seeing things, but when I read that, I thought, well, that's great news for our ag community. Ugh.
It can be. I don't think we know the outcome on that one yet, but it certainly can be helpful if in fact that's the case. But I get a lot of reports every day, and so it's just a matter of finding the right one sometimes
Okay.
to see what was said. But I will be able to look that up here. Oh, here it is. The soybean. This is what Trump tweeted. Soybean farmers of our country are being hurt because China is for negotiating reasons only, not buying. We've made so much money on tariffs that we're going to take a small portion of the money and help farmers. I will never let farmers down. Biden didn't enforce our agreement with China, where they were going to purchase billions of dollars of farm product, but soybeans in particular. It's all going to work out very well. I love our patriots. Every farmer is exactly that. I'll be meeting with the president of China in 4 weeks, and soybeans will be a major topic of discussion. Make soybeans and other row crops great again. So we'll see what that leads to.
Okay. Good deal. Well, that's some light at the end of the tunnel there, hopefully.
I had a friend and neighbor brought over a item last night. I should probably go get it out of the living room. It is a 1958 Doan's Agricultural Service book. And this book is pretty much like the internet of the times, where it had bulletins that came out every so many weeks, I think, that talked about how you could access information such as um, if you wanted to talk about financing, if you wanted to talk about the futures market, what was currently being recommended for seeding rates for a variety of crops. And this book is 2 or 3 inches thick. It's huge. And most of it is right around 1958 or earlier. Most of the topics that they are talking about in there are the exact same things we're talking about today.
Wow.
It's interesting to see that seeding rates are similar. Yields have grown tremendously versus, I think corn in 1958 looked at a U.S. average on bushels at somewhere in the neighborhood of 42 bushels, and this year's average is 187.
Oof.
Um, yeah, there's some change. And so it was very interesting reading. I'm looking forward to pulling pieces of that out and using that over the next few months as we talk about, current markets and so forth. So it's fun to see that stuff.
Awesome.
It's really neat.
Awesome. Well, we're coming up on the bottom of the hour break, so we're going to take care of some business there. When we come back, since we don't have a guest today, I'm going to do an extra
Mhm.
day of trivia. We're going to have a little
Okay.
weather trivia to give away one of our Darter plastic rain gauges, so be ready for that. I don't know, it's kind of a tough one. We'll see. It might not be tough for some. We'll see. We'll see how it pans out, but that'll be coming up here shortly, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus on this Thursday, October 2nd, 1:36 in the afternoon. Want to say a big thank you to a couple of our Here We Grow sponsors, Progressive Ag, Risk Management, and Vision Ford. Couldn't do it without you guys, so thank you very much. And do we have our final video out, Bridgette? I know Michael was working on it, and I thought he said he put it out.
Our harvest video is out, but we do have one more for Thor Building, so
Okay.
we hope to see that very soon.
Gotcha. Perfect. Well, you know what? Since we have a little extra time today, figured we'd throw in a little extra weather trivia for anybody that wants to win one of our Darter plastic rain gauges. And again, the only thing we ask is that when you get that rain gauge set up, that you report your rainfall totals to us so we can pass that along to the National Weather Service. So today's trivia question is, what is the warmest temperature we've seen in the month of October? What is the warmest temperature we've seen in the month of October? And I either need you to give me the day it fell on or the year it fell on. So I need the temperature and the day, or the temperature and the year. So what is the hottest temperature that we've ever recorded in Fargo for the month of October? And we got some pretty warm weather heading our way, but not quite this. Boy, that was quick. We've got somebody already on line one. Caller, what's your name?
Kevin Fergus.
Kevin, welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus. What's your guess? What's the hottest temperature we've seen during the month of October?
I don't know. 99.
No, not quite, Kevin, but good guess. Thanks for calling, Kevin. Appreciate that. So, again, I'll need the temperature, and I'll give you we've got to have the exact temperature. We do have to have that. And then either the year or the date it fell on, one or the other. Hello, caller. What's your name?
Ryan.
Ryan, what's your guess? What's the hottest temperature we've seen during the month of October?
97 degrees.
Yeah, boy. What? And how about either the year or the date it fell on?
October 2nd.
No. How about the year? How about if you can give me the year it fell on?
1989.
No. Ryan, that's close. All right, you got half of it, but try and call back again if nobody gets it here. All right, so we've got caller on line two. Caller, what is your guess? What's the hottest temperature we've seen during the month of October?
Try and call back again if nobody gets it here. All right.
Hello, caller. What's your name? 3, 2, and 1. Goodbye. Sorry, you can hear the radio on in the background.
Yeah. Turn your radios down when you call so you're not distracted.
Right, exactly. So, Ryan had part of that, but we need either the day it fell on or the year that it fell on. So, all right, we got a caller on line one. Caller, what's your name? Say that again?
It's Ken, K-E-N.
Ken, welcome to Weather and Ag in Focus. What's your guess? Hottest temperature during the month of October?
Well, he was right with 97.
Correct. And either the date or the year.
Well, my sister was still alive, and it was 10 years ago. What would that be, 2015?
Wow. Good. Now, you just knew that off the top of your head?
Yeah, basically. We talked weather back and forth all the time because I went through the blizzard of 91 back in the day, and then always bragged about being worse than her Fargo blizzard. So.
Oh, wow. Great memory. That's awesome. Yeah, 97 on October 11th, 2015.
11th. Okay.
Yeah.
All righty. No, I miss her. She's not around anymore, so we don't get to reminisce. But anyway, that's good.
Well, that's a nice memory to fall back on, though. That's for sure. Ken, we need your last initial. I think Addison got the rest of your info.
Okay, it's O.
All right, Ken O. All right, he's got it, and you know where the station is at, correct?
And say hi to Bridgette. I talked to her at Big Iron. We were talking about Samsung with my frostbite logo, if she remembers that. I don't know.
Bridgette?
I do.
All right.
Do. I remember us talking about it. I have your business card on my desk.
Yes, ma'am. That's me.
Excellent.
So,
All right. Well, yeah, Ken, just swing by the station anytime between normal business hours. We're right next to Thunder Road, and congratulations.
Will do. Thank you.
All right, you have a good one.
Have a good day, Bridget. Yep.
Thank you.
All right, boy. See,
That's excellent.
that is a good memory, and and that's nice. He can kind of remember it relating back to his sister, how they used to talk weather all the time. That's kind of cool.
Absolutely. And I thank folks for calling in and doing those types of things, but then just kind of sharing a little bit of the background of how they remember it. It's fun when it's not always just Google.
Isn't it? Yeah, no
And
doubt. No
one of
doubt.
the things that we can all do differently is we also have assistant ag directors that join us on air from time to time. In fact, we're going to have one again next week. Big thank you to Cass County Farm Bureau for being the sponsor of that program. We truly appreciate the fact that they help us improve opportunities for youth. The way I see it, when it comes to one of the three pillars that Farm Bureau focuses on, and that's ag education, we are a great place in which to do that. We can provide additional opportunities that kids don't always get, right? Maybe you're still in high school and you want that chance to do a day internship with me and get a chance to learn more about ag communications overall. And I was able to talk this morning with a agribusiness class at M State in Moorhead. And we talked about how those opportunities, you never know when they're going to arise, and take them when you can. So for students that are out there, sophomores in high school to sophomores in college, please drop me an email, ag@flagfamily.com. I would love to send you an application to be one of our assistant ag directors, sponsored by Cass County Farm Bureau. We had a question come in earlier, and I wanted to make sure to talk about this. One of our listeners said, where are farmers storing this year's crop, in particular soybeans? Because we know there's not unit car trains being loaded and moved to the Pacific Northwest as we traditionally would. Most bins are probably already full. That would indeed be the case. A lot of bins are being filled with soybeans right now, which means we still have a corn crop that we have to decide where's that going to go. Also, a number of bins, we're estimating in the 50 million bushel range. Those bins were lost, damaged, destroyed, whatever the case might be, in our June 20th storm, and then there were some windstorms that followed after that. When I say lost, I mean really lost. There's some bins that nobody ever did find the metal. We don't know where that bin went. So where are farmers storing? There's several solutions that are going on. One, some elevators are storing. Some elevators are also piling. They're creating piles out on a clear piece of ground and trying to keep them clean, tightly piled, so that when we do get snow or rain, it doesn't negatively impact the quality of the grain. Some elevators have bunkers, which oftentimes has either a steel or a concrete structure that can hold it. It almost looks like a hockey rink that you can pile inside of it, and then it could have aeration as well as being able to tarp that crop later on. On farm, they're filling bins wherever they can. I've seen some augers set up at some really tiny bins. For those of you who have a bin zebo in your backyard, careful, someone might try to fill it with soybeans these days because they're looking for extra storage space. So older bins that rarely get used are currently being filled. Also, some of those other temporary storage methods, grain baggers. If you're driving by fields and you start seeing what looks like giant white hefty bags out in the field, well, they kind of are. There is a bagging system. It does come with a little implement where you can auger into the top and it fills bags, and it will literally move along with the bag and leave a long row of one long bag, or however big you want to make it, going down the field. They are considered useful for temporary storage. There can be a bit of a pain because that plastic can get damaged or torn. Not often, but it can. Usually, if it's a tight seal, there's no air exchange, so your quality should be okay. Hopefully you're not getting any mold or anything like that. Got to make sure that animals stay away from it because, let's say raccoons chew a hole through that plastic. Well, pretty soon now that grain can get compromised. And then you've got to split the bags later and be able to clean up the grain that was in them when it is time to haul it away to a bin, an elevator, wherever the case might be. So those are some examples of where we might see some of this grain going for right now. If other people have other creative ideas, etc., I'd love to hear where it's going. But those are just some of the things that come to top of mind right now to try to answer that question for our listener. Oh, so, all right. Do we have time for some headlines, Dean? How do you feel about that?
Let's get a couple of headlines. If you want to do, you want to take break first, or you want to get him in right here before break?
Let me at least get one more in.
Sure.
There are a multitude of companies in ag that are fairly large conglomerates. They have a number of pieces of their business And one of those, named Corteva, announced yesterday they're actually going to split their company. Similar to what Kraft Heinz is talking about, they want to find themselves more efficient. Corteva looks to be doing that in 2026. All of the news that's been coming out about what Corteva is going to do right now is that there will be a separate seed business and there will be a separate ag chem business. In that seed business, Pioneer, Brevant, Dairyland are all going with that split, but they're going to change the name. And I will say I'm a little surprised. Pioneer's been a name for over 100 years, and for them to actually change that would be a bit of a change in the marketplace. For the ag chem side of that business, which would continue to include herbicide, insecticides, biologicals, etc., they are going to use the name Corteva, probably with a slightly different spin to it at some point as well. Some of the reasons for the split can be liability. The seed company wants to separate itself because they feel that they have a different trajectory to follow, especially financially, whereas that ag chem business is looking to protect itself from some liabilities that are potentially coming down the road. One of those is Corteva was named as part of a lawsuit, I believe, based in New Jersey with a multitude of other companies about forever chemistry. And so this stems from years back. It's being brought forward now, and there was indeed a lawsuit that they are going to be a part of. So I can see why there's that separation of what they're trying to do. Often those separations are driven not only by boards of directors, but stockholder demands as well. So we'll see how many more of those happen. Kraft Heinz announced theirs before Corteva's rumor came out, and now Corteva's has proven true. We'll see what other companies might do the same. So bear that in mind if you are a stockholder and or a farmer, because as farmers with Corteva, you may have been using some of those bundling programs for your seed and chemistry together. What will that look like after 2026? Not sure. Time to ask a few questions. And we'll have room for more questions after we return. So, Dean, we probably got another weather update and some headlines coming to finish out the hour.
Yes, we do. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Weather and Ag in Focus. 153 now in the afternoon, and we're looking at temperatures outside in the mid to upper 70s. Should make it into the mid to upper 80s before the day is done. It looks like probably around 85 or so for much of the area. And Bridgette, we had a listener question saying this listener said he's been watching the European model, the American model, the German model for the last couple of runs in regards to rain, and he asks, do I see a chance that this shifts back towards the valley for elevated rainfall? I do not, unfortunately. Each model run has been pushing this back a little further west and northwest of the FM area. And when you're getting that consistency with each model, they're lowering the amounts here and kind of upticking the amounts out to our west. That's showing that all the models are coming into better agreement in the short term. So unfortunately, and we'll reevaluate it tomorrow, but it looks like the heaviest rain is going to fall out, let's say from Jamestown through about 50 miles or so west of Bismarck, up through, let's see, Minot, Devil's Lake Basin, and just northwest of Grand Forks into the northeastern corner of the state. It looks like that's where the heavier amounts of rain, and by heavier, I'm talking an inch plus easily. But here in the FM area, up and down the valley, some areas really won't see much at all. The far southern valley into southern lakes country, you'll be 0.05 of an inch or less. And even here in the FM area, I'm not, the way it looks right now, I'm not looking at much more than 1/10 of an inch. Let's hope that changes. But right now, it does appear that the heavier threat, and this looks like this is increasing likelihood, falls out to the west and northwest of the valley.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to see some changes potentially. Got it. All right. Well, we might see changes, right? We always never know until the track gets a lot closer.
Right.
Things can adjust
Right.
just a little bit.
The one thing we know for sure is we're going to see much cooler weather coming into the area. That we know for sure. But
yes.
the heavier rainfall looks to definitely, at least at this standpoint, fall out to our west and northwest.
Well, we knew sweater weather would get here before long. People are going to have to start wearing pants again.
Exactly.
Stop wearing all your shorts.
Yep.
I get it. So one of the things that comes with fall is fall calf weaning. And that means that we are moving cow-calf pairs home off of pasture. We are separating those cows and calves. So the calves learn to eat on their own, gain on their own, that type of thing. And there's some different ways to do that. One of them is a fence line weaning, where we put the cows and the calves on either side of the fence. Can work pretty well. They see each other, but yet the calves can't nurse on the mothers. And that, again, separates them, forces them to learn how to take care of themselves a little bit. It's like, it's time to go to kindergarten. We got to learn how to do some things for ourselves. Then there is abrupt weaning, where you separate cows and calves and move them great distances. That can work if you've got real sturdy fences, because in some cases, one or the other decides they're going to be on the move to go find mom or the calf, and they can in fact try to take off. Things can be a little bit testy in those situations. The last one is there are nursing prevention tools. One of them actually looks a little bit like a football mouth guard, except it's got two tabs that fit into the nostrils on the calf, and these don't hurt them, but it extends down. It's a piece of plastic that extends down over their mouth, so they can reach underneath it to eat out of a feed bunk or to graze grass, but the flap doesn't move up, so they can't latch on and try to nurse off of a mother cow, and that will get them to stop as well. So interesting tools. Not all of them are used by every farmer. I think it depends tremendously on the time and the place and what works best for their operation, but sometimes it's interesting to see if you have a calf wearing a mouth guard. Why? Well, it's probably for weaning, trying to keep them and learning on their own. So we'll see what that looks like in the future. Yeah. Also, fall is a great time for some weed control. Let's get on out there after things like Canada thistle. We can even do a little bit of leafy spraying this fall. Right now, many plants are taking in nutrients and they're moving them into their root system for the winter months. So if you're going to apply a herbicide to get rid of something like Canada thistle, they have an extensive taproot system, and this is a great time to bring that product in, put it into the plant, move through the root system to control the whole plant, not just burn it off on the top soil level. So there can be good times and bad. Usually we can spray pastures, ditches, etc. up until about mid-June. then it's nice to let it go until we get to about now. Do it before we have a hard freeze, before the plant is completely dead. You want to have about a 7 to 10 day window for that material to move through the plant before you get that hard freeze. So you already mentioned a freeze next week, Dean. We should be timing this perfectly.
Yeah, it looks like, in fact, we're getting increasing confidence that Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, that's the best chance of a widespread frost or freeze around the area. So that should put an end to our growing season. It should.
Okay.
Yeah.
Might be the case.
Yeah, but until then, we've got a couple of nice days of weather, so get out and enjoy it. So for Bridgette, myself, I want to thank you for joining us on Weather and Ag in Focus. Don't go anywhere. The Jay Thomas Show, it's coming up next.